I think I'm live. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another one of my LinkedIn live events. And today's topic is going to be the second part in the series that I started last week, which is becoming a transformation coach. And in the first part, we spoke about your identity, right? Like what does it take to be a transformation coach from a place of being and not just doing, right? Because whenever we think of transformation coaching, our focus is just on the doing and not in the being enough. And that is when the last or rather the first part of the series we spoke about that. Now today we're going to be talking about the second part, which is what does it take to be a transformational coach in terms of your skill set, right? Because ultimately a transformational coach is not someone who just feels it from the inside, but it is also visible in their work and in every aspect of their work. So that is what we'll be talking about today. As usual, I'll just quickly check if my audio and video is fine. And for those of you who are attending my live for the very first time, I explained to you topic in depth, and you can ask me as many questions as you want as we're going on. And if you're probably watching this as a video on YouTube, then you can just put down your questions in the comment section. Or if you wish to speak to me one on one, you can book a call with me, or you can send me a question in the LinkedIn DMs too. Okay, I believe that the audio and video is fine. Okay, great. So let's go on without wasting any more time. Now, as I was saying, that transformation coaching is not something that you can just manifest, think about, feel, but it is something that is also visible in your work, right? Which means that when you're sitting with a transformation coach, when you are truly having a session with a transformation coach, you will know it. You will know that this person can help me at the level that I have never really experienced, or that this person has helped me achieve the kind of depth that I didn't even know was possible for me, or that I didn't even know that I had it in me to actually, um, get there. Like, even though I knew that this existed, but I never knew that I could get there. That is what transformational coaching does, right? And that is what a transformational coach does for you. So when you are probably, let's say, an aspiring life coach or an existing life coach, but you aspire to be a transformation life coach, you need to understand a few things about it in terms of skill set. Okay, and that is what we'll be talking about today. um just give me a moment. I'm just gonna change the. Okay, all right. Yeah, so I changed the blue line in the that's going on here. According to the live I do, it changes. So by the way, this says that if you want to join our free community of coaches, then you're very welcome to do so. You can just DM me the empowered coach, and I'll send you the link to our free WhatsApp community where I write and as well as send audio coachings every single day on how can you set up your life coaching business from scratch. Right now, when it comes to skill set, in terms of becoming a transformation coach, it's divided into two aspects. Okay, the coaching skill set as well as your business skill set. Now most people believe that it is enough to just have good coaching skills, right? And it is, because you need to be important. It is important that you are actually good at the core skill set, which is coaching, but it's not enough. Because think about it. Let's say you're amazing at coaching, but you don't actually have a client to coach. So does it really make you a coach, or does it just make you someone who holds a certificate? Because if you don't have a client, then you're technically not a coach. And I don't mean it in the beginning. Of course, in the beginning, it takes time to build up the coaching practice. But if that's your reality, if you're making zero effort to actually learn business skills to monetize your business, then you are simply a person with a certificate. You're not really a coach, and that is the harsh truth, right? So, coaching skill set as well as business skill set, mastery in both of them is equally important. And I want to talk about three to four principles as to what it takes to be a transformational coach in under these two umbrellas, right? So let's talk about the coaching skill set, right? The very first thing that's incredibly important, and that every transformation coach displays when it comes to the coaching skills, is that their ability to hold space for the client, their ability to hold space for other people. Usually when you are a coach, you are taught to solve other people's problems. Yes, you are taught that listening is an important skill. You are taught that you're supposed to, listen deeply to the client. But not everybody understands the difference between listening versus truly listening, right? A lot of people just listen to give a reply. A lot of coaches also listen to just answer, give a thought, give some life changing advice. They're always looking to somewhere impress the client, or they're just looking to, jump onto the wagon of, helping the client. And yes, it is the point of coaching, but what it does is that you abandon the listening part of it. Then you're just doing selective listening. You're listening to answer, you're not really listening to listen. So, a big part of becoming a transformational coach is that you hold the space for the client, which means that you don't get desperate to give them an answer. You are not, scrambling, or you're not lost in your own thoughts. You have not gone into your own thinking that I'm going to answer like this, I'm going to pose this question. You're really there for the person, like you're really holding space for them, right? And another nuance to this is that it doesn't really matter what the client is saying, you're holding space for everything, right? It is not just for things that you want to hear, it is not just for the things that the agenda of the session is about, but you're truly holding space for everything. Because most of the times what tends to happen is, and it's a very human tendency, is that when somebody really gets the space to talk about themselves, most of the problem starts getting resolved on its own, because the person can now really hear themselves think. They can really hear themselves, um, out loud, that this is what is happening, this is what is going on, and it becomes quite real for them, right? And when you interrupt that space, the realization part that happens for the client does not really happen, right? That's one aspect of holding space. Another aspect of holding space is you actually giving your client the space to open up, because clients are of different kinds. Not everybody opens up automatically in the first session. Not everybody is going to just outrightly tell you about the deepest darkest secrets. It's not going to happen, it takes time, right? And a big part of people becoming comfortable with coaches is how safe do they feel taking up the space, right? And for a client to take up space, you actually have to offer them space, right? And not just any space, a non judgmental space. A space where you're not looking to prove yourself, when you're not looking to judge the client, when you're not looking to jump into solving the problem, right? None of that. But when you're truly holding space, a non judgmental space for what it is, right? Not for some like agenda, right? So that is a big part of transformational coaching, your ability to hold space. And I'm using the word ability because it is something that you have to expand and you have to work on. It is not something that automatically comes. So, usually a lot of people who enter into the coaching industry are good listeners. It is not that they're not good listeners. But the problem is that the moment they wear the hat of a coach, they feel this pressure of, having to reply, having to answer people, having to know all the information, or they get lost in their thoughts and looking for some, thought provoking anecdote or proverb to just throw to the client to impress the client. They go into that, right? They forget that the basic aspect is of coaching is really deeply listening to the client. Because when you listen to the client, when you hold space for them, that is what reveals the model of the world a client has, which means how does the client look at themselves in relation to the world, which is the most basic principle of coaching, right? A client does not have a problem because they don't have it in them to solve it. A client has a problem because they're looking at something a certain way which makes them feel stuck, right? It can be an identity problem, it can be a perspective problem, it can be a mindset block problem, whatever it is. But we will only get to know that when you're willing to listen to them fully, when we're willing to hold space for them fully. That's the first principle. The second principle of transformational coaching, and this is so important, is the ability to be an objective problem solver. Now, what tends to happen is that for a lot of coaches, they sit with their clients and their clients start talking to them about their problems, and they start buying their client stories. For example, let's say you are my coach and I come to you and I tell you that nothing is going right in my life. No matter what I try, things are just going bad. I feel so helpless and life is so bad. My luck is so bad and yada, yada, yada. I'm coming on very strong. Okay. My feelings about my life feels so definite, feels so fixed, and feels like, an announcement that this is who I am. If as a coach you are someone who gets swayed by clients feelings, you will buy into my helplessness and you will also start absorbing it. You will also start feeling hopeless for me, you will also start feeling helpless for me, you will also start feeling that, oh my god, this person has too many problems, how will I handle it? It happens to a lot of coaches. They buy into their client stories. They don't really stop and think What could be the objective solution to this client's problems, or what is an objective way of looking at it, right? When you're not an objective problem solver, you will quickly buy into your client's problems, and you will stop coaching them. You will start agreeing with them, you will start validating them, and that is when coaching goes out the window, because you are not being objective, right? Your client does not need you to agree with them always. It's okay to validate their feelings, it's okay to let them know what their feeling is valid, but if you agree with everything and you just buy into what they're saying, you lose your sense of sight. And a coach's job is to to make visible the blind spots that the client is unable to see. And to give you an example, what is objective problem solving, right? So a client comes to you and they're telling you nothing is working out, this is bad, that is bad. You don't get swayed away. You don't get emotional about it. You stick to the stillness and stability inside of you. You ask them questions, you become curious, and you also help them become objective. Because most of the times it is not that your clients don't know how to solve their problems. In fact, not most of the times, almost all the times, it is because there are just too many emotions involved. When there are too many emotions involved, I can't think clearly. And if you also buy into my story as a coach, then we both are confused. We both have bought into my strong feelings. Sometimes clients are going to come with a lot of strong feelings. They're going to come with a lot of fixed mindset. But if you also buy into it, then you are not helping them think. You are not helping them think any differently than what they're used to. So that is what objective problem solving is about, removing the emotion out of the equation. And you know what? That has been one of the most powerful things in my coaching practice, when I've removed the emotion out of my coaching sessions. Not always, of course, because I also do trauma informed life coaching. I'm talking about when I'm distilling the problem of my clients down to the most um, to, to a problem that is actually the core, right? Which means that when a client is coming to me and telling me about their problems and there's just a lot of emotions involved, I don't get swayed there. I help the client come back to the point. I help the client come back to the question. And as a result, my client also learns through my line of questioning what is it that they're being emotional about and what is the real problem, right? For example, I come and tell you that I'm just not able to eat healthy, and I feel helpless about it, I feel hopeless about it. And I'm someone who's never going to eat healthy. I should just give up, look at other people, they're doing so well, yada yada yada. Now my core problem is what? I can't eat healthy, or I'm unable to eat healthy. But all the heaviness that I bring with it, hopelessness, helplessness, criticizing myself, that's the emotion part. If you buy into all of that, you are going to think I have 100 problems, and you will also get overwhelmed as a coach, which happens to most coaches who don't get feedback on their coaching, or who are not really deepening the coaching skills, right? But if I'm someone who knows how to be objective with my client, then I will know that the problem is one only. The problem is that I'm unable to eat healthy. All the emotions that comes with it is emotions part of it. So these two are different things. And most of the times when a coach helps the client solve the core problem, all these emotions also get dissolved. And that is what objective problem solving is about. It's very simple, but it's very powerful. It helps a client see just how simple their problems are to solve. And it also helps you teach the client how to structurally solve a problem, which is a big part of coaching. Teaching a client how to think in a way that helps them instead of, it being against them. Now, coming to the third point, which is ability to dive deep with the client or in the client's thoughts, despite how uncomfortable it is. Before I go to this point, I'll just quickly check if I'm still audible and visible. Okay, yes, I am audible and visible. Great. I often get paranoid that I'm not going to be visible because it has happened to me. All right. Now let's come to the third point, which is ability to dive deep despite the discomfort. Now a lot of times what tends to happen is that a lot of coaches feel this discomfort while going deep with the client, because they believe that, will the client take offense, will the client feel, oh my god, this person is being too personal, this person is trying to know too much of me, or this person is just not believing me, why are they asking me many questions and stuff like that. So when you think like this, what you do is that you become very cautious around going deep with the client, and that's not service, that's not serving, right? When a client is coming and sitting with you, you have to understand that you are the expert there. Okay, you are the coach there. They are trusting you to ask them questions, and they're trusting you that they can rely on you, they can lean on you. So first of all, it is already this unsaid, you know I won't say expectation. It is already in the air that you will ask them questions, right? And the deeper you go with them, the more they're going to realize just how deep their problem goes, and it is going to help you coach them better. So when you get afraid that, I don't know how to coach, or I don't know how to ask them deeper questions, right? When you do that, you don't actually get to the root cause of the problem. For example, and this is something I wrote about in a post also a couple of days back, I think. For example, let's say I come and tell you, that, you know what, let's not take a hypothetical example, let's take a real life example. I'll give you a real life example of my own coaching session. So once I was talking to a guy, okay, I think a couple of years back, he came to me with a very specific problem. He told me that, Rianshi, I'm preparing for a competitive exam, and I've been doing this for the past 1.5 year, and I keep procrastinating, and because of my procrastination, I'm not able to study, and I want you to help me with it. Now the client came with a very clear problem statement, right? That he has a time management problem. Let's say that I am a coach who doesn't want to ask too many questions, or I don't go deep with my client, right? What will happen? I will start discussing time management strategies with him. I will start discussing, oh, you can do this, you can do that, yada yada yada. That would have been great. The client would have gone, tried it, and then tell me. Interestingly, when I was talking to this person, what have you really done for this? And he told me that he has done everything that he can for time management. He has done meditation, he has made timetables, he has woken up on like Brahma Muhurta or something at 4 a.m. He has done everything that we could think of. When he told me that, if I wouldn't have dived deeper, what would happen is that I would feel overwhelmed, that, oh my god, this person has done everything in time management, so how am I going to help him? But the moment he said that, I knew that this is not it. This doesn't feel like a problem to me. Time management is never really a problem. So I went deeper, with questions. I asked him more and more questions. I asked him about his motivation. I asked him, why does he actually want to do his exams and all of that. The deeper I went into coaching sessions, what revealed to me was that this person is doing his competitive exams not because he wants to, not because he's passionate about it. He's doing it to prove to his parents that he's worthy of their love and respect. Because in the family he grew up in, government jobs are the only one, according to him, or according to perspective he grew up with, are the ones that receive the most amount of respect. And he always saw his parents praising this one cousin of his, who had a government job. And since then, very early on, he made this decision that, you know what, I'm going to, pursue, like, I'm going to give competitive exams. I'm going to pass this, exam, and I'm going to be a government officer. The more I became curious about him, the more it revealed itself to me that this person was not doing something that he wanted to do. He was doing something he thought he needs to do to gain his parents' love, which means that he was never aligned with the goal. And a big reason why people procrastinate or are always demotivated is because they don't actually align with the goal. When you have to push and push and push always, it means that the vision is not pulling you. And that was the exact case with this guy. The vision was not that he wanted to do something in his field. The vision was, I'll become this, mom and dad will be so proud. And over a period of time, he convinced himself that this is his own dream. When we had that entire conversation, in the end, he was very quiet. He became very quiet. He didn't speak for a while. And I held space for him. Then he told me that, Rianshi, I have never thought about it like that. And when you tell me this, strangely, it feels very liberating. It feels like a burden is lifted off me, because I feel like I was crazy that I'm not finding it interesting, but I was gaslighting myself into believing that no, this is my passion, but when you say this, it feels like you're validating my feelings. And that's when the whole atmosphere of our session changed. It was never a time management problem. The problem was he was afraid of pursuing something that he wanted. He wanted to pursue something in marketing because he thought that he's going to lose his parents' love and respect. So we worked on that. We worked on his insecurity. That was the real problem. But imagine if I had been afraid of going deep, if I would have just believed into the problem that he said, and the moment it revealed to me that he's stuck, I also buy into his stuckness. So you see that what I'm trying to tell you is it's a mixture of all the 3 points I've told you up until now, right? Holding space, not buying into the client story, which is being an objective problem solver, and going deep with the client despite his discomfort. So while I was going deep with this person, multiple times he told me, "Oh no, I don't think this is the problem. Oh no, this is not the issue." And I told him that what, I'm curious. I'm just curious. Tell me why is this, why is that? And over time, as he was listening to himself answering the questions I was asking, it just dawned on him. It's like a curtain lifted. He became disillusioned by his own desires, not really passion, desires, just desires, fueled from a place of insecurity. So when you are not afraid to dive deep with the client, you're going to change their life, right? That one session itself is going to be so powerful that the client will not want anyone but you. And that's the secret of transformational coaching. When somebody is sitting with you and they're experiencing you as a transformational coach, they're going to experience insights, they're going to experience things about themselves that will be so powerful that they're always going to remember you. Even if they might not end up working with you, they will remember you because that conversation was so powerful. And of course, counterintuitively, that automatically makes you a coach who makes the most amount of sales. So don't be afraid of going deep with the client because you never know what you may recognize and what they may recognize in themselves. Now, coming to the next point, separating your limiting beliefs from your sessions. This is one of the most important qualities and the least talked about qualities as a coach. A lot of times, as a coach, you're also a human being, right? Which means that you also have insecurities of your own, limiting beliefs of your own, self esteem issues of your own, lack of confidence issues of your own, whatever, right? Now, there are two types of coaches. One type of coach is a coach who takes support to solve his own limiting beliefs, which means that he will get inside a program where he's getting support or he will do his one-on-one work. Basically, he is doing or she is doing whatever they can to work on their limiting beliefs. So that doesn't spill onto the coaching sessions. Another type of coach is someone who doesn't do their inner work or someone who doesn't take support. For example, there are a lot of training programs where you don't get support like you do inside LCTM. Inside LCTM, which is my signature life coaching and monetization program, every single Friday you discuss all of your mental blocks with me. You discuss all your emotional blocks with me, and I basically coach you every single Friday, right? And it is a lifetime program, so that support is always there. One of the things that my students don't experience that a lot of people do, a lot of coaches do, is that they don't get stuck with personal problems, right? Because they have me, they have the support, they have LCTM, so they come back. But what tends to happen to a lot of coaches who don't get this kind of support is that they start to rely on their clients to make them feel good, which means that they're always looking for some sort of validation in their client. For example, let's say I'm sitting with you and I am someone who lacks belief in me. So when I'm coaching you, I'm looking at your expression. I'm looking at what you are telling me, how you're behaving. I'm looking for validation in you, right? I'm looking for my self-esteem in you, and I put that responsibility on you unconsciously, right? I will not serve you powerfully because I feel what if you get offended. I will be very careful with what I say because I'm always looking to impress you, right? I make my coaching sessions an audition, right? I want you to like me. I want you to praise me because that is what helps my self-esteem. And let's say, for example, you don't write me a long testimonial or you don't tell me that, oh, Rianchi, you've changed my life. So I start getting depressed and disappointed. And for these coaches, the business never really expands because the point is that you are outsourcing your inner work to your clients. Your clients are not here to make you feel good. Your clients are here for their own problems. Your clients are here for you to serve them. You can't expect your client to solve your lack of belief in yourself. A lot of coaches go through this where they outsource their lack of self-esteem, lack of confidence onto the clients very unknowingly, right? And that starts to impact their coaching sessions. For example, if I am someone who's afraid of coaching you powerfully because I'm afraid what will you think of me, then I will never fully serve you. I will always be looking to impress you. And as a result of it, my coaching will always be average. But when I'm deeply secure in myself, I'm not going to care about what you think of me. And that is the whole point. That brings me to the last part about transformation coaching, skills, is that you're supposed to serve powerfully. You are there to serve the client, not please the client. A lot of clients who are people pleasers, a lot of coaches who are people pleasers, or they are someone who have never worked on their self-esteem or self-confidence, they start pleasing their clients. They're afraid of saying something to the clients, they're afraid of challenging the clients, they're afraid of calling out their clients, that you know what, this is what it is, right? They feel that the client should understand automatically, or they feel that if I say this, it'll be unprofessional. They feel that the client will take offense. They're basically afraid of being honest, right? Because they're trying to maintain an image. And all of this nonsense, and I really mean this is nonsense, is where your energy goes, not in serving the client. And that is how you dilute your power as a coach, right? You start impressing the person, and your client is not there to be they don't want you to be they don't want you to be their yes man. They want you to serve them. And sometimes serving a client means sometimes upsetting them, sometimes challenging them, disagreeing with them, because you have their highest good in your mind. If a client knew everything, or if they knew everything about their life, they wouldn't be here with you, right? So clearly they have some blind spots, but when you're afraid of pointing it out to them, you're not serving them, you're pleasing them. And that is not what they need a coach for. So you need to understand that transformational coaching is about the client. Whenever you see yourself getting emotional, tying your self-esteem or self-worth with your sessions or your clients, it means that you've crossed that boundary of being a coach. Now you are looking for gaining your self-esteem, you're looking for some ego boost, and that's not a good place to be at. To overcome this, either be inside a training program like LCTM, wherein you're always getting support on your coaching skills, on your emotional mental blocks, whatever you're feeling stuck with, or do your one-on-one work. But make sure that you're taking support as a coach, because as a coach your problems will not just be business or coaching skills related, it'll also be sometimes personal issue related. For example, you have always been afraid of hearing a no from a client, which means that sometimes in a clarity call that you're having in the initial coaching session when you're pitching your services, you may be afraid to speak out your price, you may be afraid to speak about your offer. It has nothing to do with coaching skills then. It is because of your personal limiting beliefs. It is a personal block, it's a money block, or it's a rejection block. So make sure that you are inside a training program where you're getting support or you're doing your one-on-one work. Now, coming to the second part of our topic today, which is business skills when it comes to being a transformation coach, right? Before I do, I'm just going to see if we have any questions so far. Okay, I don't think we have any questions. Okay, somebody has asked for the community link, so I'll just put it right now in the comment section so you can find it there. And also, if there's absolutely any link that you need about my community or anything, you will always find everything in the feature section of my profile. So I'll just put it here. All right, cool. Now let's move to the business skills part. Now this is again something that a lot of people don't talk about because right now in the coaching industry, and it has been for a time, however we are seeing a good change, is a lot of people, specifically a lot of coach training programs, don't actually talk about monetization because they ask you to buy the training programs, they give you a certificate, and you are in the illusion that, oh, once I have the certificate, clients will start training, my coaching business will start. None of that happens, right? Unless and until you know actually how to monetize your business. So your business skill set is also one of the reasons you are a transformation coach. Otherwise, what will happen is that you will be a glorified person with a certificate sitting at home hoping that clients will come. And that is not a good place to be at. In fact, even now, if you open LinkedIn, you're going to find a lot of coaches. But if you actually do a survey of people who are actually making good money from their coaching skills, The answer is going to be not a very good answer, because a lot of people run behind certificates, and I have made a whole video on this. You can watch a live event I did on how to overcome the, like, how to transition from an employee mindset to a business owner mindset. I've spoken about this in depth there. But when you run behind certificates, that is what happens. So a transformation coach is someone who does not outsource their self-esteem to a certificate, right? They know that they're only a coach if they have clients, and that is why they also work on their business skills, right? It doesn't matter how great of a coach you are. If you have no clients, then you are just a person with a certificate, right? Now, if it's just a certificate that you want, you can frankly sit at home and print it yourself. Might as well do that. It makes no sense, right? So let's talk about it. Let's talk about the very first skill, marketing, right? Now, what is marketing? And I'm going to explain to you in a way that I explain to my students inside LCTM. Marketing is nothing but 100 different ways you talk to your potential clients every single day. That is exactly what marketing is, right? And inside LCTM, I teach them in a step-by-step manner how to create content, how to put yourself out there on social media, and how to create content strategy and marketing strategy, everything, right? So if you're interested in becoming a certified, trained, and paid life coach, you can DM me LCTM and we'll get on a call for that. But why? Why is marketing one of the skills of becoming a transformation coach? Because marketing is how you educate your client. Marketing is how you help them overcome their own limiting beliefs. Marketing is how you make the client aware about the depth of their problems. When a coach's marketing is very targeted, very good, then the client, before even coming into the session with the coach, is already sold out, is already aware that this is the kind of person I'm dealing with. Versus when you don't market well, then when a client sits in front of you, half the time you're gonna have to convince them about your work. Half the time we'll go in educating the client. But imagine a client comes to you in a session already being very aware of their problem, already knowing how you're going to help them. They're simply here to discuss their problem and knowing how they can work with you. Imagine the ease that will happen and how fast you will convert your clients. That's the difference between a coach who knows how to market versus a coach who does not, right? So marketing is a very core skill set of becoming a transformational coach, because it plays a big role in how many clients you'll be able to serve and how powerfully. You have to remember that an educated, a well educated client, and when I say educated, I don't mean in terms of degree, I mean in terms of self awareness, right? A client who is very self aware is much much likely to actually help themselves than a client who is not. And sometimes you have to understand that people have never really had the chance to understand their problems very well, because of, let's say, the kind of environment they grew up in. So when you market and when you speak to your clients through your content, when you market and when you talk about how you can solve their problems and what are the ways you can solve their problems, when you just talk about how you can help them, they deepen their understanding of their own problems. I can't tell you how many times people have gotten on calls with me purely because they love my content so much, right? People have bought from me even though I charge far more than most coaches. They've bought from me purely because they knew about the problem so well beforehand. When they come and sit in front of me, I don't have to make them aware from scratch. They're already deeply aware. Why? Because there's a whole ecosystem that I have built, which is exactly what I teach to my students also. So you have to understand that your marketing plays a big role in whether a client will actually be open to coaching or not, as well as will they buy from you or not, right? Because your marketing will determine whether you are getting client who is aligned with you or who are not aligned with you. Now coming to the next part, which is selling. And selling is nothing but you showing up for the client. For example, let's say that I'm here in front of you, I'm doing a live event right now, and I'm telling you about transformation coaching today. And let's say you are someone who actually wants to be a transformation coach, and I don't sell at all, right? I don't tell you how you can do that, I don't tell you how I can help you. So what am I doing? You have the desire to transform, you have the desire to be a coach, but I'm not helping you, right? I'm hiding, I'm not selling. I want you to just guess how I can help. So what am I doing? I'm making it difficult for you to help yourself. That is what happens when you don't sell. So selling is also a deeply transformational skill set. When you sell, you are telling the client, you have a problem, here is a solution I can offer, come join me. That's how simple the communication becomes. But when you don't sell, you make it very difficult for the client, right? The client already has a full life. Okay, the client already has so many things that they're dealing with. Now imagine they also now have to guess, oh, how do I find what this person is selling? How do I find this, how this person can help me? Either you can make it difficult for your clients to find you, or you can make it easy. And selling is what makes a difference, right? um, Another part of selling is that, let's say you are doing your marketing well, but when it comes to selling in your coaching sessions, you become very hesitant, or you don't know how to sell, or you become very nervous and stuff like that. When you do that, you make the client unsure about the decision. Think of it like this: let's say you go into two shops. In one shop, a person is very confident about their product, and in the second shop they're very hesitant. They are not telling the price correctly, they're not walking you through the process correctly, they're not telling you about the product. But in the other shop, the person is very confident, they're telling you exactly what you need to hear. Who will you buy from? It doesn't matter how good of a coach you are, okay? If you don't sell, or if you don't know how to sell, that coaching skill will be with you only. It will not go to someone else, it will not benefit someone else. So selling helps you show up for the client, which ultimately helps them show up for themselves. Because as coaches, how we show up for the client is also how they learn to show up for themselves, which is what growth is about, isn't it? Showing up for ourselves. Which brings me to the next point, which is objection solving. Now, when you are sitting, first of all, when you're doing your marketing well, your clients will already overcome a lot of their objections. The more beautiful and targeted your marketing will be, the less objections your clients will have, right? It doesn't mean that they will not have it, they will have it. And let's say you are into the coaching session, and in the end, the client, let's say, has time objections or price objections, whatever. When you help the client overcome their objections, now how do you do that? I've spoken about it in the past, and also I teach it in detail inside my training program. But objections are nothing but coaching points, right? In a nutshell. So when you help a client overcome their objections, what you do is you teach them how to help themselves. Because when a client has an objection, it is nothing but a thought or a feeling that is not letting them show up for themselves. For example, let's say I am a client and I'm sitting with you, you are my coach, and I'm telling you that, you know what, I don't think coaching will work for me, and I don't know if it will work for me or not. Things have not worked out in the past for me, I leave things in the middle and all of that. If you don't know how to solve my objections, you will become very overwhelmed as a coach. You will start feeling scared, you will start feeling that, oh my god, I don't know how to answer this person's questions, I don't know how to answer Rianshi's doubts. But if you are a coach who's in a program like LCTM, where you have learned how to solve objections, then you're going to know exactly how to help me. You're going to help me understand what my objections are about, what my fears are about, and how I can overcome them, how probably they are not real, or how we can work around that. So objection solving is going to help you help your clients, right? It will teach your clients how to help themselves. That is very, very important. Before even coaching container begins with a client, it starts already in the objection solving itself. Now, the last point is the monetization part. When you don't monetize your business as a coach, you are not really a you're not really a transformational coach. Why? Because as a transformational coach, you're very, very aware that when you don't monetize your business, you can't sustain yourself, because you are living in a capitalistic society. You need money to eat food and drink water, right? You need money to live in a house or something. When you don't make money from your coaching, you can't keep on doing coaching. You're going to have to take up a job. When you take up another job, you're going to have to abandon your coaching practice over a period of time. And as a result, you will not be able to make any impact in anyone's life. And that is why a transformational coach understands that before I make or create transformation in other people's lives, I have to first create transformation in my life. And that is why the best transformational coaches in the world are people who first invest in themselves, because they know that if they don't help themselves, and making money is a part of helping yourself, by the way. A coach who is broke will never be able to help another person, because they're already struggling with themselves, right? They're already in the survival mode. So a transformation coach is someone who will always prioritize monetization also, because they know that if I'm broke, I can't help anyone else because I'm already struggling myself. So don't go into this all nonsense that I want to help for free, or I will only do this on the side or something. When you do that, you will ultimately quit, because it's not possible to to be broke as a coach, right? You need money, you're going to have to go and get a job for that. So you have to understand that if you really want to become a transformation coach, you're going to have to prioritize monetization also. Because when you are fulfilled, when you feel sufficient in your life from inside, you will be able to give more. A broke coach is not able to give more because he is already struggling. No, he's in survival mode. He's always worried about money. How will he give? He himself is non-sufficient. Whereas a coach who is making money, who's abundant, will give more and more value. And that is what the cycle becomes. A broke coach is unable to give a lot of value, stays broke. An abundant coach is able to give a lot of value, and that's why it expands even more abundance. So your priority should not just be becoming excellent in your coaching skills, but also becoming excellent in monetization skills, which means knowing how to build a business. Now, selling, marketing, creating a content strategy, creating a marketing strategy, how to actually create clients, all of this comes under monetization. And if you are someone who's an aspiring life coach or an existing life coach who wants to learn how to monetize your business, the best place to be at is LCTM. It's my signature life coach training and monetization program, wherein aspiring coaches come, get trained, get certified, and learn how to monetize the business, as well as existing coaches come inside and learn how to monetize the business. And it's a lifetime program, so there's absolutely no rush for you to finish it at particular time, because um, the whole idea of LCTM is that everybody gets all the support they need for their entire life, right? That you don't feel rushed and anxious. That is it for my side for today. That is all what I wanted to speak about. I'm just going to quickly check if I have any questions. And in case you need more resources, I have done a lot of live events in the past on monetizing coaching business. And as well as I also have a free masterclass on how to create a six-figure life coaching business. It's called the Six-Figure Life Coaching Business Blueprint. You will find the link of it in the feature section of my profile, and you will find a lot of free resources on setting up your life coaching business, how to monetize it, how to overcome self-doubt, and all of that stuff in my YouTube channel. And you can find the link of it again in the featured section of my profile. And if you're someone who actually wants to enroll into LCTM, you can just DM me LCTM, and we are going to get on a call, and we'll talk about what it can look like for you. Okay, I don't think we have any questions so far. Okay, I don't think we do. So I'm going to conclude the call here today, and I will see you for part three probably next week. And I'm going to be also launching a lot of fun challenges inside the Empowered Coach community, which is again a community of coaches. So if you're interested in expanding or building your coaching business, you're very welcome to join us inside. Thank you so much for joining, and we are going to bid goodbye for today, and I will see you next week. Bye bye.